Welcome to this session on the mobile track. Um, we'll be talking about mobile and cloud and Cordova. My name is Carlos Santana. I'm not the guitar player, so if you guys had high hopes to see hear some good music. That's not happening here. I'm the developer slash architect. I'm a committer on Apache Cordova project. That's an Apache Foundation open source project. So any complaints, any ideas, any suggestions for the open source project, you can talk to me or contact me. I also work for IBM, and I live here in Raleigh. Who's outside? Who lives outside from Raleigh? Who's visiting? Good. Welcome. This is my city for the last 12 years since I joined IBM. You have to excuse me my voice. Of all days, this morning I wake up and I didn't have any voice. I getting a cold, so I think it's the season. That's my Twitter handle, and I didn't know there was a session on Apache Cordova and Ionic before mine, so I might be repeating some information if you were here an hour ago. In the last session, they talk about Ionic, which uses Cordova. But I'm going to concentrate more on the open source aspect of the project and also how can we use Cordova to build enable mobile apps with data. Um, for those of you that were not here, Apache Cordova is an open source project to allow you build hybrid mobile apps. And the spectrum of mobile development goes from pure web, which is on the far left, your left, is just a website. You open your browser in your mobile phone and you get a mobile experience. And it's whatever the browser from the phone can give you. On the other side of the spectrum is pure native. That's using native tools from the different vendors like Apple, Android, um, and Windows Phone. So using C#, using Android, Java, you're using Objective-C, using Swift, which is the new language. And that's usually is for high-end apps that you want to get a great user experience. The primary goal for that is games. So if you're building a game, you're probably going to do pure native. If you have a mobile presence like commerce, you would want Spectrum. But there's a big range in the middle, and that's what we call hybrid, where you can mix and match native aspects of the platform with web developer tools or languages. So in this case, HTML5, JavaScript. So just wanted to give you an overview of what hybrid is. So Apache Cordova allows you to build mobile apps using HTML, JavaScript, CSS, things that you use for other projects, things that you want to leverage across your developer tooling. So that's a good benefit. The idea, I don't want to lie, that we have been saying that is the tool to write once, run everywhere, or deploy everywhere. It's almost true. But there's different aspects of every platform has a different web view. Every web view has different capabilities. Some of them are more advanced, some are behind. And you have to deal with the same things you deal when you're doing regular web development for browsers. You don't know what browser the end user will have, so you have to write support different type of browsers. And then you use a JavaScript framework. You just plain JavaScript. Usually the idea is that you use a framework that is mobile friendly. A little bit of history of Apache Cordova. It was created out of a hackathon by a company called Natobi in Canada. Then from that, it became PhoneGap. So whenever you see PhoneGap or you're building a PhoneGap app, we can consider that Cordova. The code was donated to the Apache Foundation. Adobe acquired the company PhoneGap, and it has the trademark to the PhoneGap name. So they have services like PhoneGap Build, which allows you to build in the cloud and other things. But the Apache Foundation, which is good, is like other projects that are under Apache Foundation, ASF, are backed up by companies that use this software, that sell this software and support this software. So in Apache Cordova, I work for IBM. I'm a committer. We have other people in IBM working daily. Some of their full-time job is to work on the open source project and contribute to that open source project. We have in the community, we have people from Google. We still have people from Adobe. Adobe is one of the primary contributors to the project. And recently, Mozilla with the Firefox OS, Amazon with their tablets and phones, Fire OS, and Microsoft have been a huge contributor lately. This year, I've been very impressed with their group, Microsoft Open Tech, and they have done many things to support Apache Cordova for the devices. Mainly, they work targeting their devices, Windows Phone and Windows 8, and what they calling now Windows Universal Apps. A little bit of architecture for those of you that are architects or developers. This is kind of a very high-level view of understanding how Cordova is built. So yes, you build a single-page application, and that's where you put your HTML, JavaScript, CSS code. But then that is rendered by the web view, and the web view comes with the operating system of the mobile device. And then we have a Cordova bridge, and we call it a bridge. Some other people call it a gap. That's the code per platform that connects JavaScript to the native code. So in Cordova, you will find a lot of native code. And basically what we do is Cordova plugins. And the plugins, what allows you is access device features like camera, battery, contacts, network, things that if you're doing native development, you have to use their native APIs. But in this case, you can use a JavaScript API to access these native features. And then the OS sits at the bottom with the different services. Apache Cordova is a CLI. There's a download from the Apache Cordova, but it's a command line utility. That was a new. If you were familiar with Cordova like 2 years ago, it was very painful to just get started, get the tools, get everything together to do a Cordova app. Today, through npm and command line tools, it's just installing that utility from the command line. So let's do a quick demo. I like to do live demos. People get excited about doing mobile development. So if you have a mobile phone or smartphone and you're a developer or you are into HTML or web, there's no reason why you can't do a mobile app. It's very simple. So if we go to let's go to the desktop. Like we were showing previously, you install Cordova through npm. So npm is the node package manager, and if you search for Cordova, you will find the Cordova, and you install it globally. So you install it with npm. I'm not going to do it because it will take too much time. But you type those. Can you see that? Maybe a bit bigger. Okay. So that's the command to install it. I'm not going to install it because I already have it installed. Another thing is you have to. People get frustrated because it's hard to get the stuff working at the beginning. But at the end of the day, you're doing native development. You have to deal with the native tools, with Xcode, with Android build tools. You're building a native app. It just happens you're taking the benefit of writing HTML and JavaScript, which you're familiar with because you're maybe a web developer. That those same skills you're using it for your front end or your website. But for Cordova to work, if you're doing Android development, for example, you will need to have the Android command tools installed, and ADB, those Android SDK. So you download that Android SDK, configure your computer with it. If you don't have Node or npm, you have to install Node and npm to get Cordova. But let's do a quick app. So if we do Cordova, And again, you don't have to memorize all these commands. They have a help. Um, you cannot parse it because it's too big. Um, but the idea is that you can always get the documentation from the command line. So if we do create and with a hello A2A, all things open, that created a directory that has hooks, platforms, plugins, and the dot folder. And the dot folder is the one that has your index.html. The other thing is this is a cross-platform utility, so you don't have any platforms when you start. So you can do Cordova platform ls, and it will give you what are the options that you have. So you have Amazon, Android, iOS. So you can do Cordova platform, let's do iOS, sorry, at iOS. And that will add the platform. And like I mentioned, then the plugins are things that you add on top of it. So it's a modular approach of building Cordova. So you want to be the mobile app, you want to be like as small as possible. So there's a plugin registry. If you're familiar with the NPM registry, it's similar. It's basically a community-driven of plugins. So this is where you will get the plugins for if you type like something camera. You will see that there's multiple ones for camera, and the ones that start with our domain, which is org Apache Cordova, are the ones that the Apache project supports. We call them core plugins. You can find things for example, if you want to do Touch ID. I think I saw one the other day. Touch ID, there's, I think I found two Touch ID. So that's the new iPhones have fingerprint reading. There's a native SDK, native API, but they just brought, with a plugin, it's a simple of calling JavaScript, and that JavaScript calls the native API. So going back to the example, once you are in that directory, if I added the platform, you can run Cordova build, and that will build your Xcode project, your Android project, your different projects. At least for iOS, I like to use Xcode. For Android, it's good to use the command line tool. So I can just run it. As you can see, you will see there HTML, JavaScript, CSS. So it comes with a hello world. Very simple hello world. When it comes up, that's basically doing an Apache Cordova project. I can try to do a Android. Who has an Android here? Okay, so iOS. Okay, so let's do Android. See how that goes. You can also search for Cordova plugins from. You can do Cordova search and do camera plugin. You can search here. You can use the website, and it give you back the ones that find that it has. So if to add a plugin, let's show that. It's very simple. Just do Cordova plugin add, and if I want to access the camera from my JavaScript, I can add that. And then what I can do is Cordova run Android. And for Android, I like it to run the command line tools. I have a device connected to the USB. So if I run that command, it would package the app, will compile the Java code. create the APK for those familiar with Android development, and then install it on the phone through the USB. If you run the emulate, it will try to run it on an emulator or create an emulator. And a tip out there for people doing Android development, don't use the emulator. If you can avoid it, use a device. But if you use the emulator, use the Intel ones. It runs faster. So that's the app on the phone, and it loaded. So that's very simple. I mean, at this point in age, creating a mobile app and using things like Apache Cordova should be as simple as creating a web page for the family. Very simple, not intimidated anymore. So let's go back to the slides. So that's the essence of Apache Cordova Hybrid and the command line tools. So the next step, what I want to talk about is the front end versus the back end. So you do an app, you do all the front end, you're done with it. We think that that's like 30% of the work. What happens with the rest of the work? We think it's 70% the back end, or the other aspects of doing mobile development, not just the front end or the UI or the user experience. Doing user engagement, security, dealing with privacy, API integration, what APIs I'm going to call, what data, backend data I'm going to do. Operations, is my mobile app being deployed successfully? Are people connecting? Is the app crashing? Can I get crash logs? All those things are things that you need to be concerned when you're doing mobile development, and also mobile data, cloud data. So if you want your different devices to access the same information very easily, that's also part of the backend. So we have a booth out there. IBM has a service called Bluemix, and it's our cloud offering. It's a platform as a service. It's based on open standards. It's based on Cloud Foundry, so it's basically built on an open platform. You can bring your own build packs. We have IBM build packs, and we have open source build packs that we support. Developers are using Bluemix to get started, and it's free. You can get registered with IBM.com. You get an account, and then you get an account with Bluemix. It's free for 30 days, and then after that, there's different services that have free tiers. So it's a platform as a service. That's our cloud offering. So we have a mobile boilerplate, which is a runtime with a few services that you can create out of the. It's like a getting started Bluemix package. It has Node.js as the runtime, but you can have Java runtime. You can have different type of runtimes. Node.js is, since I'm talking to the crowd that is interested on Cordova and JavaScript. You want to use JavaScript everywhere and take advantage of that, of using JavaScript everywhere, where JavaScript can run on mobile, it can run on the backend in Node. So let's create creating a Bluemix account is very easy. Just email and your information, you get an IBM.com account, and that will allow you to get into Bluemix. Let's do a demo of that. So I have Bluemix in here already logged into Bluemix, and the idea is that if you're going to do a mobile app, and this boilerplate also supports native, but if you're doing a mobile app, you'll start creating an application, and we have these boilerplates, which is a runtime with a server of services, and we have this one called Mobile Cloud, which today I'm going to cover Node.js and mobile data. Also has push, so if you want to do push notifications, you can use that service. And some of these services have the free tier, some of them is based as you go. The data has different free tiers, and also as you grow your business or your number of users, then you pay as you go. So that's basically it. You can give it a name. So let's give it a name, ATA 2014. All things open. And I will create, and that's basically spinning up a backend for you. And the idea is you will connect your mobile app to this backend. So that got created. Um, and for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to use one that I already have created this morning. So if I go back to my dashboard, as you can see, it's coming up. It should be up in a few minutes. I'm going to use one that I use for demo purposes. I call it to do. Um, every every demo of every mobile app has to have a to-do list. It's very easy to understand. I tell, joking to some of my friends that are developers, is every mobile app starts as a to-do list app because it's very easy to learn. So from that point on, you either going to list a list of things, you're going to delete a thing, you're going to add an item, you can update an item. So, so basically, to connect, to access this, I'm going to use mobile data to connect my mobile app. So let's go to an app that I created yesterday. It's located here, and I did the same steps that I did before. I'm using Ionic, so I can do Cordova plugin ls, and I install the plugins. So Bluemix gives you Cordova plugins to connect to do data, to do push, to do authentication, to do cloud code. I'm going to just use the data. So I already installed this data plugin and the IBM plugin. These other plugins are installed by Ionic by default. So let's open the app. And again, I use Xcode because it's very user-friendly. This way I can select like what simulator do I want to run my app on, like iPad, iPhone. I select iPhone 6. And the idea is that I created a simple to-do list app. Let's run that. Oh, it's being used by another app. Let me see. I think that's the app that I was using before. Let's close that Hello World. Let's try again. So I created this app, and it's a sample app. I have the code in GitHub. You guys are be able to run it after this. So I have a simple to-do list app. So the idea is that this is a grocery list. So I have to buy eggs, apples, milk. Let's add something else. OJ, right? I created that. And the idea is that this data is connected to my backend. So if I check here in my to-do list, I should have a to-do. And this data is backed up by Cloudant. Cloudant is based on CouchDB, which is an open source project. And as you can see, this is the to-do list app. So it's a very simple JavaScript API. Let me see if I can show the API. That's basically the commands that I did. I didn't show. I should show that. I did npm install. I used Ionic, which is basically in Cordova. I added my Cordova plugins. And then these are the simple JavaScript objects, APIs that you have. You can create an object, read an object, delete an object, find an object. And this is the extent of the API. It's very simple to do. Let me show. So that was the app running in the simulator. I have the same app running on these devices. So these devices, I have an iPhone and I have an Android. The bigger one is the iPhone. Now I can say that. I have a 6 Plus. So I already use item show up, so I can delete it, I can add it. Very smooth app, very easy to get started. If you have an idea and it has a mobile piece to it, it's very easy to get that idea implemented. So in Android, I can do the same step or run, but I already have it installed, and I have it here. So in this case, the mobile app, I'm using the JavaScript inside the mobile app to add data to my backend. So I can see that data showing up here. So if I refresh, if I delete an item, let's delete the apples. I can also control that data from the backend. I can delete this item from the backend, and it's based on, it's a NoSQL database. I can refresh. I can show it to you. And there are no more apples. I don't have to buy apples. So that's the demo for mobile data. So to get a little bit more interesting, just wanted to show you how I was able to build a mobile app using mobile data, using a platform as a service without writing any backend code. So I didn't write any Java, Node.js, PHP code to get this working. But in the case that I want to do a little bit more, I have this boilerplate has a Node.js runtime in here. So Bluemix also integrates with DevOps. Our DevOps services is ability to host our app source code in Git. So this is a Git repository. This is some Node.js that I wrote this morning. So I added a command. This is an Express app with a few lines. I added an API to allow people to, from the outside, call this /follow with their Twitter handle. And you can see here, I'm using the same API from the backend, from Node, using JavaScript to add that data object into that mobile data backend. But in this case, I'm adding as a Twitter in order to do. So I have the app here, and what I want to do is kind of get some interaction from you guys. So I have the app with another list, and this is the list called Twitter. And if you guys go to this website, let me see if I have it here. Can you guys go to this website, and it will prompt you for your Twitter handle. Let's do this experiment very quickly. And the idea is that prompt box would ask you for your Twitter handle. It will do a REST API call to this Node.js that I'm running here. And then the Node.js code, it will put your Twitter handle into the mobile data backend. And it should show up here. Anyone doing it? Can you guys raise your phone? 2, 3, 4. Okay. Everybody else doesn't have a phone? Oh. Let me. And you would notice that it has also a chat application. So I wanted to experiment with Socket.io and WebSocket, so I added a real-time chat application. Let me see who added their Twitter handle. Wow, okay, so a lot of people added. So the other thing that I did was now I have your Twitter handle, I can follow you. So that was an easy way of getting your Twitter handle. So in a very fast way of creating a mobile app and some interaction. So I have folks in here. The other aspect of it, which I'm running out of time, I wanted to show was this simple Node.js application. I added a Socket.io. Socket.io is to build real-time apps using WebSockets. And the idea is that with a few lines of code, I was able to write a chat app. So I think it's not less than 5 lines of code. I was able to create a chat app. So if I go to that same thing, if you guys already bn.biz, ATO demo, okay. So it looks like we have people already joined the chat. And to show that this is a real, can you guys join the guys that, the people that, let me see. So everyone can go. We'll do a second experiment with the chat. See how many people we can get chatting real time with WebSockets with a few lines of code in Node.js. And you guys can talk about how really you feel about this session going. So I'll put a message here. Okay, are you guys receiving the messages in your phone or your laptop? Real time? Okay, so the other thing I want to do is, what about if we add another member to this chat by just a couple of lines? So I added another API, which is /watch. So if we can do more mobile, we can do wearable, right? So with 5 lines of code, I added a API called /watch. So if you have a Apple Watch or an Android phone or a Pebble Watch, you can integrate this. So what I did this morning was I have a Pebble, and Pebble has a cloud to do apps with JavaScript. So with less than 20 lines, I was able to create a Pebble Watch app that communicates with this chat service. So to show it, let's see if I can show my watch. So okay, so that's an app that I did. So I have here. You guys cannot. That's even worse. See if we can do it now. Okay, so we have it here. I run the app. It says hello, and then if I push up, there's a Pebble. You guys got the message? If I do down, let me start it here. Okay, down, up. Oh, wait. So if I do up and down, black go, okay. So can you guys hold your phone up so I can say up, up, down, down, and that's the magic sequence. And I do select, and you just see a color, your phone. What do you see? Blue, iPhone, blue iPhone, Android, Android, laptop, Android, blue iPhone, iPhone. So now I know who has an iPhone, who has an Android. You guys turn your, and to reset it, I can do it like that. And I'm running out of time, and I think that's what I wanted to show so far, was how easy it is to create a mobile app with wearable Node.js, Socket.io, in a couple of lines of JavaScript. So if you are into JavaScript, you are in a good position. If you don't know JavaScript, it might be good to learn how to do it. But I have the code in here. I can share that in my Twitter handle. That's the code for Node.js, Cordova, the Pebble. Let me bring my last slide, and I'll take questions. And again, sorry for my voice. Questions? I know I'm holding you up for lunch.
Looks like some of the stuff you downloaded from IBM, some stuff from using NPM. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it just because you work for IBM that's easiest for you? You know where it is, or?
Yeah. So the only thing I did from IBM was hosting Node.js. So I use Bluemix to host the Node.js and doing the Cloudant NoSQL database. But the same demo can be done with another service provider that you can host Node.js or can host a NoSQL database, MongoDB or things like that. But everything that was here is open source. Socket.io is open source. Node.js is open source. Cordova is open source. Um, I did install the IBM Cordova plugins, and that's just a wrapper to the REST APIs as a convenience. You can use, and that's I had. Those are the REST. Ooh, that's horrible. REST APIs to this backend service. You can use. I use a IBM Cordova plugin, but you can go directly.
So what's the IBM? That's something maybe that your DevWorks people use when they do development, or
So the idea is that if you have a Cordova app, the easiest way to connect your Cordova app to our Bluemix IBM service is using this Cordova plugin. So if you search here for IBM, you will see the four plugins, and that's the same thing as if you're using something else like PhoneGap. You will see their plugins here. So every vendor, every third party, anyone that wants to share something for Cordova as a pluggable thing, they're putting in the registry.
I see. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any questions about performance, web views, pluggable web views?
Anything with like Bluemix that integrates the security of the mobile to the back end?
So the security from the mobile to the backend works like API keys. So what you do is when you have a Bluemix app, let's see if I can go to here. You will get an API ID and an API secret. So if you open this here, that's the magic key that I was able to put in my mobile app, and that's kind of the token.
And that's OAuth too? Or do you know what that key is?
This is for API key, and just it's a validation token. You have to have that. But we support OAuth. You can do OAuth flows to authenticate the user. So if you want to do OAuth to like Google or Facebook or another one, you can authenticate the user. This is authenticating kind of the app with an API key. So it's similar when you go to Twitter or Facebook, you open an app and then you get that API key that you have to copy paste. That's basically what I did. And I didn't show that because of time, but inside my app, this is where the values that doesn't show. There's a Bluemix, a bluelist.json, and I put that API key in there. And for the other APIs, I made them public. So the Pebble Watch is talking publicly to that API, and the Twitter handles that you guys shared is a public API that I purposely made it public. And then inside my Node.js, I use my key to talk to the data, to store the data. Any more questions? One thing that I want to say is future plans for Cordova. There's a new release that was out for a couple of weeks. It's Cordova CLI 4.0. Don't get confused about that. The platforms will still be in 3.6. The thing is, we want to separate the tooling from the platforms, so the platforms can have their own release cycle. So for example, for Android, the next big thing that we're working is on Android 4.0 Cordova version. And the idea is to have pluggable web views. So you can use the web view provided by Android, or you can use a web view provided by Gecko, Mozilla, or you can provide a web view by Crosswalk, which is one that Intel did, and it performs much better. And that will give you the ability to embed a web view with your app, and then in older Android phones, that web view will be faster than the one that it came with the OS. So we're doing a lot of things to improve the performance of the Cordova hybrid web views. Also, WebKit, iOS 8 released a new web view called the WebKit view. And we're working on it to see if we can use that web view because it's faster performance. So that's kind of the future roadmap that we're looking for Cordova.
Are you guys watching the development of Android Studio? Right now, the native Android project you make is more like an ADP style. Do you guys have any plans for making an Android Studio project when that comes out of beta?
So the Cordova CLI, we want to support both ADT and Studio. So when you create an Android project, you'll be able to use Gradle in Android Studio. But that's if you want to do native development, then you can load the app. But yeah, it supports both. And from the command line, we're trying to make it easy for make it a Gradle build faster, like more easy to build. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.